Alright guys, this is a little different type of video that I wanted to do. This video I was planning on doing years ago, but I feel like this is the best time to do it. Unfortunately, with the passing of Val Kilmer recently, that kind of motivated me to make this video. But honestly, we're just going to talk about what introduced me to Batman. How did I get introduced to this character almost 2 decades ago now? This is a very personal story, so I'm going to dive into every single little detail, so bear with me guys. I know we all everybody watching this video loves Batman, alright? But I'm going to talk about how I was first introduced to the character and basically where it went from there. So let's kick it off, alright guys? So the first way that I was introduced to the character of Batman was in 2006, a year after Batman Begins came out. Now I remember I was in the store of Walmart and there was the $5 bin, okay? $5 bin had all the DVDs in there, right? And my mom took me into the store and she's like, go pick out a DVD, right? Random DVD. Now I was, like I said, I was probably 3 or 4 years old. And I picked out a random movie and I looked at the cover of Batman Begins and I'm like, this looks really cool. I want to see this movie. So I watched Batman Begins when I was 3 or 4, and I fell in love with Batman ever since. Now, I remember this. So we bought the movie on like a Saturday. I didn't watch it until the week after. It was like a Friday night. And I watched it like, I don't know, it was like a 5 p.m. night, right? And I loved it. Right? And I'm like, I want more now. Now, and this is where the world of Batman opened up to me. So we ended up driving about, it was like close up to our street. 8 minutes away was the nearest Blockbuster, right guys? And maybe it was 2007, I think it was actually 2007 or something like that, because they had promotional material for The Dark Knight already. And I went into Blockbuster, and guys, like, there's Family Video and there's Blockbuster. Blockbuster was just something, if you guys, newer viewers, like younger, have never experienced Blockbuster, you guys really missed out on something that was really cool. It's that video rental store that we all know and love. You walk in there, it smells like sweaty men, sweaty people, and sticky. It's sticky when you go in there, but let me just tell you, it is movie heaven for me. So we went in there, and my mom and my uncle were like, we'll show you the Batman selection and pick out a bunch of movies, right? And we could watch them. We rented them for like 5 or 7 days, whatever it was. So the Batman movies I picked out was 1989 Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, Batman Sub-Zero, and Mask of the Phantasm. Now, I do remember, I didn't get through all these movies right away. I remember we had to return some of them, and then I got to watch them after the fact. But immediately I watched 1989 Batman. I really enjoyed that Batman. Returns, not so much. For some reason at the time, like I respect it more now when I watch it, definitely. But Batman Forever was right up next, and Batman Forever I immediately loved. For some reason, I really had a lot of fun. I think it was just a fun type of entertainment movie, and it was, in my opinion, a good depiction of Batman at the time for me being that young. So, and then watched Batman and Robin, and I kind of knew someone was corny with it, and looking like nowadays, yeah, it's fucking dog shit, obviously. But it's fun. It's fun dog shit. You know what I mean? So, I remember, I wish I still had it, guys, but like I had a standee of The Dark Knight, so I was getting hyped up for The Dark Knight. But in the meantime, I remember I went and watched Batman Mask of the Phantasm and Batman Sub-Zero, and I was like, this is really cool. I want to see more animated Batman movies. So I went to see I watched Batman Beyond, and I got into the animated series. And literally, after just being fascinated with this character, his story, it is a character that we can relate to, no super powers or anything like that. An iconic rogues gallery. I was just drawn to this character from that moment on, back in 2007. So to get up to speed, 2008 happened, and I remember I was too young to go to the theater and see The Dark Knight, which sucked. So we ended up renting The Dark Knight right when it came out. Actually, I don't even know if we rented it. I think we bought it right away. So I bought it on DVD or Blu-ray at the time in 2008, and I obviously loved that movie. It was insane. It was probably my favorite Batman movie to date. And then after The Dark Knight, I definitely kept diving into more of the lore of Batman. I started reading comic books and graphic novels. The first comic book that I actually read was the Batman Arkham Asylum comic book. Now, it's kind of funny, too, because after that I read The Dark Knight Returns, but then after that I got into Batman Arkham Asylum, the video game. Now, while playing Batman Arkham Asylum, the video game, my uncle had a PS3. I was poor and I only had a PS2. I'm like, I want to play a Batman game. So I ended up buying the Batman Begins game that came out for PS2 back in 2004, I think it was. And I played the shit out of that. But I remember I would go over to my uncle's house every Friday or Saturday during the week after school, and I would play a lot of Batman Arkham Asylum. It was so much fun. And it just dived me more into that character, felt more like the animated series, but I was in control of the animated series, which was really, really cool. Now, keep fast forwarding. I ended up getting an Xbox 360 at the time, and I ended up playing Arkham City and diving into all the Arkham games in that sense. And just from, I would say, 2011 to easily 2016, it was full on, or honestly 2011 through like 2013, 2014, it was just full on looking at Batman and like analyzing this character and what I really like about him and how like he is such a really cool character. I bought Lego sets. I got into, well, we'll get into that in just a second. But then The Dark Knight Rises came out, and it was coming out, and there was so much hype for it. I remember I took my iPod. I had an iPod at the time, and we had no Wi-Fi at the house at the time yet. It was early on. I think it was 2011. We still didn't have Wi-Fi. We just had landline internet. And I went up to the nearest McDonald's and I watched the Dark Knight Rises trailer. I would drag or make my mom take me up there multiple times to watch this trailer on my iPod. You know, we had we had a computer, but it was like dial-up internet, so it was like buffering every single time. So we went up there and watched it. It was like, I remember watching that teaser trailer and the first official trailer. Build up hype. This was going into Dark Knight Rises. You guys know, if you are returning viewers of my channel, it is actually the first Batman movie I got to see in theaters in IMAX, which was truly an experience and a half. It was remarkable. And I think that's why that film is more near and dear to my heart. It was one of my first film going experiences. It was definitely my first film in IMAX too as well, which was insane. So I think that's why I like that movie a lot more. And I was really like, Batman Begins, that trilogy, like no matter what anybody says like about it, and everybody, mostly everybody appreciates it, but I will say that trilogy is near and dear to my heart because it introduced me to the character of Batman. No matter what, just picking up that movie. If I went back in time and never picked up that movie, it could be a whole different experience. But I hate to say it, but I think with the character of Batman, it also introduced me to more of the characters of the DC universe and got me into Iron Man 2 back in 2008, but I didn't watch the first Iron Man until 2009. 2015 to 2019. Okay, so 2015, Batman Arkham Knight came out, and I was into all the comics at the time, and I remember it was 6th grade, getting ready for the midnight release. I was in 6th grade, and I literally stayed up from 3 a.m. to the day or the time I had school. It was the last day of summer, or it was the last day of school for 6th grade too. And I was playing the shit out of this game. Another game that was really incredible for me. I think for me too, that's another experience why I like Arkham Knight the best too, is because I had an awesome midnight release experience. We had a competition for Justice Gods Among Us. We won stuff. It was just so much fun being surrounded by Batman fans and stuff like that. It was truly an experience and a half. After that, 2015, 2016 was the year. So like, I was always on the fence. I will be the first to admit one of my wrongs. I was always on the fence about finding out we have a new Batman. Now we're starting to get into the shared cinematic universe. And it was truly like, after Man of Steel, saw Man of Steel in 2013, I loved it. I don't think I would ever seen Man of Steel if I didn't get introduced to Batman or The Dark Knight Rises, because one of my biggest draws to Man of Steel was Christopher Nolan had a big part in it, and Hans Zimmer was scoring it. So, and it had a realistic take. So that's what got me into Man of Steel and overall loving that film. So it's weird that one little thing drove me right into the characters of DC, and let alone had me sprung out to watching Arrow and The Flash and things on the CW series, even though that didn't really end that well. But 2015, 2016 was rolling around, and we found out casting news of Batman, Ben Affleck being Batman. And I'll be the first to admit it, guys, that I did not like the casting at all. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was horrible. I don't even know. I just wanted Christian Bale back because I was so attached to that trilogy. And then I was wrong after watching the film. Now, I will not say that Batman vs. Superman is a perfect movie. It isn't a perfect movie. As much as I meat wrote it like years ago and stuff like that, you can really see a lot of the flaws with pacing and story problems now. But I will say that Affleck's interpretation of Batman was something that changed my respect and my look of the character. So I went through a lot of like a weight loss journey, and I'm not gonna hate it, but I will say that the biggest motivation to this was that Ben Affleck Batman versus Superman movie. That movie motivated me to go to the gym and start working out. Do not know why to this day, but I always just, that physique that Affleck had, the physique Cavill had, I'm like, I didn't want to get that. It is hard to do that. There's a lot of roids, stuff like that, whatever. But I want to start training. There was that first training sequence that I saw with Affleck's Batman in that film. I'm like, this is fucking sick. I want to do this. And did I ever get to that yet? Not really. Not that many fucking what he was pushing in that movie. Holy fuck, he was a Hulk. But that introduced me into working out. So like the things that this character of Batman has introduced me to and changed and impacted my life are incredible, I guess you would say. Am I obsessed over Batman? I fucking love Batman. Who doesn't fucking love Batman? Maybe a little bit too much. Maybe a little gay for him, but it's okay. But then after that, like I was saying, that introduced me to working out, going to the gym, and choosing a better healthy lifestyle in that sense, because I was really overweight. I was like pushing 280, 290 in 8th grade at the time, and I was only like 5 foot. So yeah, that motivated me, and you bet your ass I was listening to Hans Zimmer themes of the Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, Dark Knight Rises, all that was in my ears. But then I started to develop in 2017 a love for cosplay. Ever since seeing that first Batman versus Superman Batman suit, I fucking fell in love with it, because everything I read in comics, played in the games, animated series, finally felt like it was real and right there. So I dived down a path of making my own suits and cosplay and things like that. I wish I had pictures to show you guys. Fortunately, I don't. But it was fun. And I started to grow out of it by like 2019, 2020, and then dived right back into it right in 2021 during COVID. If COVID didn't happen, then I probably would have never dived back into cosplaying. But I ended up cosplaying, finally getting the suit how I wanted to look, and you guys know I made short films after that. And fast forward to now, like a couple years ago, getting hyped up, I definitely looked at Robert Pattinson's The Batman film, Matt Reeves' Batman film, in a whole different light for sure. I mean, I remember in 2019 when I heard the casting news, I was like, I think this is actually a good casting, and I was actually hopeful for it. And I saw his film and I saw A Good Time. I'm like, you know what? This could be a really good actor playing Batman. And it was. I was really happy with this performance. Whether or not we get another Batman sequel, who fucking knows at this point? He's apparently doing Dune Messiah now, and who knows how all these things go. But to bring it into 2025 now, guys, I think this is a perfect video to make right after doing the Batman trilogy video. But I will say that, like, how I was introduced to this character truly impacted my life from that moment in 2006, 2007 to now. There were so many things that if I never was introduced to the character of Batman, I have no idea where my life would be. I love the character to death. I think no matter what, I will always say that Batman is probably he is my favorite superhero, but I always do think he is the best superhero out there. I know that, like, my little ranking of superheroes is Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. Those are the three that I really, really enjoyed. Only reason why I really love Superman was because of Man of Steel, and then I started to appreciate him even more, even though, like, and I want to talk about something real quick. Any excuse I get to talk about the Man of Steel, Zack Snyder movies, I will. But I will say, Man of Steel, no matter what, I think is truly the best film out of that whole trilogy, no matter what. As much as I can say it's badass and I can appreciate what he was doing with Superman as a character, the more that I read with comics and more things that I researched back then about Superman and that, and how cool his resurrection and his return was in the Snyder Cut, I will even say that is not the real Superman, the comic book Superman. That's more of a grounded, realistic take, and I respect that. I love Cavill as Superman. And I will say that I am looking forward to David Cornswet's Superman 2. Everything I've been seeing from it, I'm getting hyped up about. And I probably will do a trailer review to it if it comes out next week. But I will say, though, that that Man of Steel film got me introduced in actually respect and liking Superman, and got me motivated to look into more of Superman films and that stuff. And like I said, guys, like, I used to be a big advocate. I will admit that I was rooting for the Snyderverse to get restored and that stuff. But honestly, as years went by, I think it's the best for it to not get restored. I would love to see him continue his story, whether it's through graphic novels or even an animated series type thing or something like that down the road. But I think DC, as you look at the whole universe, I know this is springing off the whole topic, but I want to talk about this real quick. If you look at DC, that series was not, or the DCU was not working. So I think it's best to bury that. As much as I love Cavill as Superman, I understand full reboot, I get it. But guys, that's it for this video. If you guys got a story about how you guys got introduced to a DC or a Marvel character, please leave a comment down below. Or if it was Batman, let me know your story about how you got introduced to Batman the first time ever. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys real soon.